Last month, I did over 30 free personalized website reviews for anyone who was brave enough to request one. These are the most impactful takeaways.
One of the things that you have going for you is that you have a very memorable name. It's fun. It's definitely different than a lot of these other financial technology corporations. But I do think the aesthetic and stuff needs to be dialed in a little bit more so that it really feels on the same footing and level as some of these other players. That being said, when I look at this website, I kind of read it more as a general SaaS product and not necessarily a financial SaaS product. And a lot of that has to do with the choice of colors and fonts, and even to an extent, the way that you're presenting assets. I also believe that your buttons could benefit from some active states, hover states, etc. Especially as a UX person, if I was vetting your portfolio to potentially bring you onto my team, seeing that something like this is missed is actually something I would take note of and be like, we want to make sure that there's clear micro animations and states for these elements. Same can be said for things like these image thumbnails. I know that the mouse cursor is changing to let me know that this is clickable, but having some sort of effect to let me know visually that I can engage with each of these would be beneficial. Another thing that I think you could do for these case studies is articulate more of what you did and what type of company these are from just this glance overview perspective. So, if I don't recognize the brand names, which these are not companies that I'm personally familiar with, the next thing I want to know is, are they in an industry that aligns with what I do? And did you do things that are relevant to me? That helps me kind of self-filter and then click on the case study that's going to be most relevant. If I scroll to this section, each one of the logos themselves that are being highlighted here are not necessarily high quality. And this hover effect on each of the logos is kind of weird. I would eliminate that hover effect. And then I would also make sure that if you're going to go with a single color palette for these logos, that you're doing it across all of them. Another thing I want to point out is just these photos. I think it's beneficial when you're taking a photo and putting it on a site to have it be inviting. So a smiling face is going to definitely be more encouraging than, it's kind of squinting at me, pointing to his shirt. It's not super engaging. Also, the photo quality itself doesn't seem super professional. Same thing can be said for this shot here. Right? A little bit better, a little bit more inviting, but then the lighting and stuff on this looks really off and it just doesn't look like a professional shot. I think the intro animation that you got for the site is interesting. Hopefully this comes through on the screen share. So it's pretty cool. There are at some points where it lags a little bit or kind of delays entering the site. So it might be worthwhile to explore that and see if you can make that experience a little bit more efficient. Other quick thing I noticed is that the responsiveness of the site is a little bit off. You can see how this text is kind of being cut off on the left-hand side. Seems like something that should probably get cleaned up as well. These responsive containers aren't quite working. Well done on the design. There's a few things in regards to maybe copywriting, user experience, conversion optimization, best practices that I think you can benefit from. One thing I would say is, I know there's this trend of having these rotating messages in headlines. I'd actually encourage you to not do that and come up with a single value-driven message that you can communicate up top that can hit all of your customers rather than having this rotation. What it does is it kind of just dilutes the message that you're trying to communicate. I would also be a little bit more specific in terms of what you're offering here.
If you would like to have your website reviewed, you only need to do two things. One, follow me so you know when the next website review is dropping. And two, comment or DM your website. I look forward to checking them out soon.